Hello and welcome back to the 5 Minute Film Club. And today I'm looking at a film from 1934, a screwball comedy starring Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert, and that is It Happened One Night, directed by Frank Capra. The film starts with a young heiress socialite, Ellie Andrews, played by Colbert, jumping overboard from her father's yacht where she's being held as she's recently eloped and married a pilot called King Wesley, and so flees to meet up with her new husband in New York. On the bus journey there, she meets newly fired reporter Peter Warne, played brilliantly and sleazily by Clark Gable, who quickly realises who she is and says that if she lets him write an exclusive interview with her, he will help her get reunited with her husband. The story then follows them on several adventures as they try and evade the police that have been put on a countrywide hunt for Ellie, with Colbert and Gable being absolutely amazing in their parts. Now, I am incredibly new, I think, to the screwball comedy genre. I've seen and reviewed Bringing Up Baby, but the origins of the screwball comedy I was completely unfamiliar with until actually I watched a film from Indicator that they put out last year, and that is 20th Century. 20th Century came out in 1934, 4 months after It Happened One Night, and so when I did that video a couple of weeks ago where I went through all the Blu-rays that I'd received early part of this year, and somebody in the comments said, can you do a review of 20th Century? I thought it was only fitting that I actually reviewed this film first, and the fact that it's in the 501 Must-See Movies book, well, I couldn't resist. The term screwball comedy is something that's used to describe a form of romantic comedies that were incredibly popular with audiences in Depression-era America. In a time when America was impoverished and cinema tickets were incredibly cheap, audiences wanted to have an escape and a laugh, but also wanted to see non-soppy love stories. They wanted a real grit there too, and so we have this film, which is regularly pronounced as the first proper screwball comedy. There are several standout moments of this film that have seeped into popular culture. The main one being when Claudette Colbert and Clark Gable are trying to flag down a car that's going past. Apparently even Bugs Bunny comes from this scene, the fact that he's eating that carrot and he's nonchalantly, lying, reclining back, thinking, oh, I've got this handled. And Clark Gable says that he's constantly saying he's written the book, or he's going to write a book on how to do this, that and the other. Kind of in modern speak, he mansplains absolutely everything to Ellie Andrews about all the different ways that you can make them stop for you, and that can all be illustrated and demonstrated in the movement of a thumb. He steps out into the road and utterly fails to stop any car, and the scene just gets funnier and funnier. It is hilarious. Ellie just is reclining back and she's just, wake me up when you've got the car. She just steps out into the road, lifts up her skirt, shows her leg, and a car brakes instantly. But the fact that we have this film and it works so well, I think, today, when you look at its production, and Gable really actually didn't want to do this film in the first place. He'd been loaned out from Warner Brothers to Columbia, as they really didn't have anything ready for him to go, and according to Capra, he was a resistant member of the production. And looking at the film, maybe that's where all the energy in his performance comes from. He's such a vital component. I can't imagine anyone else in it. He's completely different from someone like Cary Grant would be. Gable is a heartthrob, and when he famously bares his chest in the film, very daring for the time, you see that the humour here isn't chaste. The film is full of sex. In fact, the punchline for this film is sex. Now, that kind of energy that is between Ellie and Peter in this film, that sexual tension that is very, very clearly there. It'll be interesting comparing that to the screwball comedy that would come 4 months after, that's 20th Century, and John Barrymore and Carole Lombard in that film. There's still sexual tension in that film, but this one, with It Happened One Night, it feels very much there and in your face almost, compared to the slightly different relationship that we get with Barrymore and Lombard. Anyway, coming back to the time at which this film was made, during the Great Depression, something I absolutely loved about the film was the background characters, all from Ward Bond's grumpy bus driver to the sing-along that has hints of a homosexual love story in it. Frank Capra gives us an image of America that is exceptionally inclusive and depicts America as being less about the actual physical landmass, but more about the people that make it. And front and centre of that are the regular Joe Americans. They aren't all peppy. We do have a scene where a woman collapses due to the fact that she hasn't eaten enough. It speaks to the time that this film was made in, that rage and comedy and sex and violence were all tumbling into one, and America was trying to find a new identity and try and navigate a way out of complete and utter ruin. And I think Frank Capra's voice is one of inclusivity, I think, but also one of socialism. This film is for those regular people. This is for the people that are on the breadline. They haven't got any money. This is their only outlet. And I think this film really shows them in a way that is human and real, and one that we can relate to 90 years later. I loved watching this film, and if you haven't watched it, please do make it a priority. It is so funny and joyful and brilliantly timeless. Next up in my 501 must-see movies book, I will be looking at a film from 1993, and that is my favourite film of all time. I have watched it thousands of times, probably, in every single available format. That is Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. And I'll in fact be reviewing all of the Jurassic Park films before the release of Dominion. So please join me as I start looking at those films. And I'll also be reviewing 20th Century as well. And I've just uploaded a video of me looking at my latest Blu-ray from Indicator, and that is the Pamini organisation box set. 3 independent British films from the 1970s. Very, very underseen. I don't think they've been released at all since their first cinematic release. So I'm really excited to watch those. So if you want to watch all of these videos, all you have to do is click the subscribe button. And if you like what I do here, please give me a thumbs up for this video. That's all the housekeeping out of the way, and I'll say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.